Rob, it is so good to be with you guys this morning. I'm here at the Alpha Ireland Conference in County Laois at the beautiful Abbyleix Manor Hotel, and we've had a real treat of inspiring talks, music, prayer over the past 2 days, and we've really been looked after so well by the Alpha Ireland team and the staff of Abbyleix Manor Hotel. The theme of this year's conference is Discover, and those in attendance have already discovered many new ideas and resources for bringing more life into their communities and parishes. And for those listeners who aren't familiar with Alpha, Alpha is a course which introduces the basics of Christian faith. It's the Alpha, the very beginning. So through a series of talks and discussions, they assume that those who are attending know very little or nothing about the Christian faith. And with me this morning, I have 3 people who've experienced in different ways how Alpha courses have impacted them and those around them. We're really excited here this morning to be here. It's our first live broadcast on Saturday Magazine. And so this is a very momentous day for Spirit and for Alpha. So first of all, I have Jayne Courtney with me here. She's a mother of 3 from Dalkey Parish in County Dublin. I also have Canon David Mungavin, who is the Rector of St. Patrick's Church in Greystones County Wicklow, and Miryam Lightbody, a member of the Alpha Ireland team, who has seen the impact of Alpha among transition year students and other team participants. And you guys are all welcome to the show. We're going to start with Jayne, first of all. Jayne, tell us, how did you first come to Alpha, and what was that experience? What was the experience of doing Alpha like for you?
With us in Dalkey, I'm on the parish council, and we were looking for new ways to bring or strengthen the faith of people within our parish, and somebody had spoken to us about Alpha. So a group of us decided to attend Alpha just to see what it was like. So for me, it was actually just a fact-finding mission. Wasn't expecting to get anything out of it. Was going to go back to the parish and see if we wanted to run with it. Didn't expect to enjoy it. Didn't expect for it to strengthen my faith. But over the course of the 11 weeks, I was absolutely blown away. Became completely committed to Alpha, and we then went from there to a group of us formed a connect group together to read Father Mallon's book, and now we're really pushing for a parish renovation, and I'm now heading the Alpha courses in the parish, and we're halfway through our first one. So it, from the point of view of bringing it to the parish, it was hugely successful, but then in my personal life as well, it strengthened and brought me forward into very, very strong relationship with Jesus and God.
Wow.
And discovering the Holy Spirit.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. And Jayne, tell us, how has this affected your attitude to how you participate in your own parish?
It changed how I prayed, and I learned how to pray in a much more direct and simple way. And my prayer every day was, please just use me whatever way you want to use me. I don't know which way to go with this, but I'm open to be used in any way. And I now work within the parish. I run the community centre in the parish, and we're growing more teams, and just it seems to have taken over my life, but in a fantastic way, and I'm more than happy to. I can stand in front of the parish now. I can speak at all the masses, inviting people along to Alpha, telling them what's happening in our community, and just having a much greater connection with the parish. It's an exciting time, I think, for us in Dalkey at the moment.
So
and it's all, I think Alpha is a great base to start with.
Amazing. That sounds so powerful and amazing, what's happening in your parish. Now, David, I'm going to ask you if you can describe for our listeners how Alpha has had a role in renewing your parishioners and getting them involved in reaching out to others.
Yeah, thanks. One of the things I noticed when we did our first Alpha, we've done about 5 now actually, is that when we had coffee and tea after the Sunday service, people were talking about faith and Jesus, whereas up to then it had been holidays and kids and rugby, you know?
Wow.
And that's just amazing to see that happening. Still needs to be encouraged, but we've done a number of Alphas, and I think it just puts, I suppose, thinking about it, I think what Alpha does is it puts Jesus Christ right in the middle of the questions and our faith. Whereas I think if we're not careful, church and denomination and all those things can take the place of Jesus, you know. So I think Alpha does that really well.
So it puts Jesus back in the center of things.
The cross. Yeah.
Tell us about some of the initiatives you started in cooperation with the local Catholic parish.
Yes. That's been a great development, particularly in the last year. It started, I think, when last St. Patrick's Day, we thought, well, Patrick's Day is a great day in the town and so on and so forth, but if you look at the floats, there's nothing really to do with St. Patrick or faith or whatever. So we decided to do a joint float for the churches together, and we did, the theme was Land of Saints and Scholars, and dressed up Father John and the other priests, and I dressed up as well as a scholar, and that just made a statement. People loved it, and the fact we were doing it together went down really well.
Wow.
Then we started talking, and that's led to us doing a joint Alpha, which has already started. It's been a great development, and again what it's doing is putting Jesus in the middle of things, and people, I think, can now start talking about being a Christian rather than a Catholic or a Protestant or whatever else. So it's been good.
It's been a good thing.
Yeah.
And if you're just joining us now, we're broadcasting Saturday Magazine Live at the Alpha Ireland Conference in Abbyleix at the Abbyleix Manor Hotel, and we're speaking to David. David, just tell us, I'm really curious to know, how do you hope your parish and church can move from the maintenance to the mission that we're talking about here today?
Yeah, I mean, that is the great big challenge, I think, for all priests and clergy. I think it really is a question of putting Christ in the middle and using faith, evangelism, and building on that. I think if we put... we have a tendency, I think, to just focus on maintenance. But I honestly think when we do that, the tail wags the dog. Or another way of looking at it is, you know, the identity of the church is like a graveyard rather than the living faith. And it's a big change, because part of our default setting is to want to settle into a comfort zone and see a church as just a place to tend and keep tidy. But if we do that, churches will die and are dying, sadly. So it has to be mission.
Sure, that's what Jesus himself said, wasn't it? Go out there and make disciples. Yeah, absolutely.
So Alpha is a great tool in leading to that. And the other thing we've picked up on is divine renovation, which I think can be for a church what Alpha can be for an individual, if you like. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Very good. Thank you, David. Thank you. We also have Miryam here with us, and Miryam is working with the youth part of Alpha. Miryam, I'm really curious to hear about where you're running these Alpha courses for young people. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. So we're running Alpha mostly in schools. We run it as part of the RE program, and it's really great. Some schools will invite us to come. Others, we've kind of asked around, but more and more we're getting invited. So if we only had more volunteers, we'd go further. We're
actually so good to have
popular.
An invitation, isn't it? Yeah, that's great.
So we're in Mitchellstown and Presentation Girls. We have run it in Mallow. We'll be running it again this year. We are also in the boys' schools in the city. We're in Douglas. We're in Christian Brothers School. And we're in Closh de Christ Ree as well in Douglas. And we've also run a really great little parish group in Macroom. And that's lovely because the church can own that. You know, the problem with running it in a school is, what do you do after? Where's your follow-up? But in a church, it's great because these young people have been part of their church mission now. They're doing like a mission month or something. And apparently they've all got really into it. And all they want to know now is how to evangelize to their friends. So that's really cool.
That is so cool. And why do you think Alpha is making such an impact on young people today?
I think what I love about Alpha is that it's so open. It lets people kind of talk about what they care about. It lets them ask really good questions. I think a lot of young people, I can't say they're like tired of religion because they haven't experienced it, to be honest. My young people, their grandparents go to Mass, their parents do nothing, and they know nothing about Mass really, so that's the truth. But they have faith, and they just don't know what it is. And that's what I love about Alpha is we start at the beginning with them. Something I think is really interesting is that I would say the most powerful part of my work is teaching them how to pray. They love prayer. They're interested in it. They're not afraid of it. And they love the spiritual and they're curious about that. So I love introducing them to the Holy Spirit. And I think that's what's so powerful about Alpha is that it really gives a real place to the Holy Spirit. It doesn't kind of put him at the end. He's in every part of it. And then the Holy Spirit Day is so important.
He is. He really is. And finally, Miryam, I just want to ask you, how do you see local churches getting involved and helping to find a place for these young people so that once Alpha is finished, they can get involved and continue to grow in their faith?
Yeah, that's been a real struggle for us, to be honest. I would just so encourage local churches that, like, if you want young people to come to your church, not to just magically expect them to show up by themselves somehow. Their parents probably won't bring them, but run a youth Alpha in your church. You probably have a nice building somewhere. Run a youth Alpha and then adopt those youth afterwards and get your youth to go to the youth Alpha as well. Something that's amazing I find in my own church was that some of our youth didn't even know how to read the Bible, and we didn't know that. And running youth Alpha, it really taught them the basics of the faith that they said they professed. So it's really important. But youth Alpha is an incredible tool, but don't be looking inside your parish. Don't be looking inside your church. Look outside. Look at the people who live in the estates and the villages all around you, and get them in through Youth Alpha, but use it as an open door. And the other thing I'd say is be sustainable. Don't just want them to come in and not think about what to do with them. They're there. They're young people and they need to be cared for and they need to be discipled. So come up with something to do afterwards as well and disciple them. That's the most important thing.
Wow, Miryam, I am very encouraged that you have a hand in this, because that's the kind of attitude I think that we really need to have with our young people. Start at the basics, assume nothing, and make sure that there's follow-up for them afterwards. Thanks for doing the job you're doing.
No worries, thank you.
Guys, thanks so much. I hope you've enjoyed the couch today. We had 3 lovely guests here. It's been great to hear all that's happening in the schools, in the communities, in the churches, and how Alpha is having an impact around Ireland today. Jayne Courtney, Canon, David Mungavin, and Miryam Lightbody. Thanks so much, guys, for being here this morning and having the chat.